Chapters 13 through 15, Book 13, Volume 2 of Morte. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Read by Benu Athanasia. Morte, Volume 2, by Sir Thomas Malory. Chapter 13. And then rode Melius into an old forest, and therein he rode 2 days and more. And then he came into a fair meadow, and there was a fair lodge of boughs. And then he espied in that lodge a chair, wherein was a crown of gold subtly wrought. Also there were cloths covered upon the earth, and many delicious meats set thereon. Sir Melius beheld this adventure, and thought it marvellous, but he had no hunger, but of the crown of gold he took much keep. And therewith he stooped down and took it up, and rode his way with it. And anon he saw a knight came riding after him, that said, Knight, set down that crown which is not yours, and therefore defend you. Then Sir Melius blessed him, and said, Fair Lord of Heaven, help and save thy new-made knight. And then they let their horses run as fast as they might, so that the other knight smote Sir Melius through hauberk and through the left side, that he fell to the earth nigh dead. And then he took the crown and went his way, and Sir Melius lay still and had no power to stir. In the meanwhile, by fortune there came Sir Galahad, and found him there in peril of death. And then he said, Ah, Melius, who hath wounded you? Therefore it had been better to have ridden the other way. And when Sir Melius heard him speak, Sir, he said, for God's love let me not die in this forest, but bear me unto the abbey here beside, that I may be confessed and have my rights. It shall be done, said Galahad, but where is he that hath wounded you? With that Sir Galahad heard in the leaves cry on high, Knight, keep thee from me. Ah, sir, said Melius, beware, for that is he that hath slain me. Sir Galahad answered, Sir Knight, come on your peril. Then either dressed to other, and came together as fast as their horses might run. And Galahad smote him so that his spear went through his shoulder, and smote him down off his horse, and in the falling Galahad's spear brake. With that came out another knight out of the leaves, and brake a spear upon Galahad, or ever he might turn him. Then Galahad drew out his sword, and smote off the left arm of him, so that it fell to the earth. And then he fled, and Sir Galahad pursued fast after him. And then he turned again unto Sir Melius, and there he alighted, and dressed him softly on his horse to fore him. For the truncheon of his spear was in his body, and Sir Galahad stirred up behind him, and held him in his arms, and so brought him to the abbey, and there unarmed him, and brought him to his chamber. And then he asked his saviour, and when he had received him, he said unto Sir Galahad, Sir, let death come when it pleaseth him. And therewith he drew out the truncheon of the spear out of his body, and then he swooned. Then came there an old monk, which sometime had been a knight, and beheld Sir Melius. And anon he ransacked him, and then he said unto Sir Galahad, I shall heal him of his wound, by the grace of God, within the term of 7 weeks. Then was Sir Galahad glad, and unarmed him, and said he would abide there 3 days. And then he asked Sir Melius how it stood with him. Then he said he was turned unto helping. God be thanked. Chapter 14. Now will I depart, said Galahad, for I have much on hand, for many good knights be full busy about it, and this knight and I were in the same quest of the Sangreal. Sir, said a good man, for his sin he was thus wounded, and I marvel, said the good man, how ye durst take upon you so rich a thing as the high order of knighthood without clean confession, and that was the cause ye were bitterly wounded. For the way on the right hand betokeneth the highway of our Lord Jesu Christ, and the way of a good true good liver, and the other way betokeneth the way of sinners and of misbelievers. And when the devil saw your pride and presumption, for to take you in the quest of the Sangreal, that made you to be overthrown, for it may not be achieved but by virtuous living. Also the writing on the cross was a signification of heavenly deeds, and of knightly deeds in God's works, and no knightly deeds in worldly works. And pride is head of all deadly sins that caused this knight to depart from Galahad. And where thou tookest the crown of gold thou sinnest in covetous and in theft. All this were no knightly deeds. And this Galahad, the holy knight, the which fought with the 2 knights, the 2 knights signify the 2 deadly sins which were holy in this knight Melius, and they might not withstand you, for ye are without deadly sin. Now departed Galahad from thence, and betaught them all unto God. Sir Melius said, My lord Galahad, as soon as I may ride I shall seek you. God send you health, said Galahad, and so took his horse and departed, and rode many journeys forward and backward, as adventure would lead him. And at the last it happened him to depart from a place or a castle, the which was named Ablesore, and he had heard no mass, the which he was wont ever to hear, or ever he departed out of any castle or place, and kept that for a custom. Then Sir Galahad came to a mountain, where he found an old chapel, and found there nobody, for all was desolate, and there he kneeled tofore the altar, and besought God of wholesome counsel. So as he prayed he heard a voice that said, Go thou now, thou adventurous knight, to the Castle of Maidens, and there do thou away the wicked customs. Chapter 15. When Sir Galahad heard this he thanked God, and took his horse, and he had not ridden but half a mile, he saw in the valley afore him a strong castle with deep ditches, and there ran beside it a fair river that hight Severn, and there he met with a man of great age, and either saluted other. And Galahad asked him of the castle's name. Fair sir, said he, it is the Castle of Maidens. That is a cursed castle, said Galahad, and all they that be conversant therein, for all pity is out thereof, and all hardiness and mischief is therein. Therefore I counsel you, sir knight, to turn again. Sir, said Galahad, wit you well I shall not turn again. Then looked Sir Galahad on his arms that nothing failed him, and then he put his shield afore him, and anon there met him 7 fair maidens, the which said unto him, Sir knight, ye ride here in a great folly, for ye have the water to pass over. Why should I not pass the water, said Galahad. So rode he away from them, and met with a squire that said, Knight, those knights in the castle defy you, and defenden you ye go no further, till that they wit what ye would. Fair sir, said Galahad, I come for to destroy the wicked custom of this castle. Sir, an ye will abide by that, ye shall have enough to do. Go you now, said Galahad, and haste my needs. Then the squire entered into the castle, and anon after there came out of the castle 7 knights, and all were brethren. And when they saw Galahad they cried, Knight, keep thee, for we assure thee nothing but death. Why, said Galahad, will ye all have ado with me at once? Yea, said they, thereto mayst thou trust. Then Galahad put forth his spear, and smote the foremost to the earth, that near he brake his neck. And therewithal the others smote him on his shield great strokes, so that their spears brake. Then Sir Galahad drew out his sword, and set upon them so hard that it was marvel to see it, and so through great force he made them to forsake the field. And Galahad chased them till they entered into the castle, and so passed through the castle at another gate. And there met Sir Galahad an old man clothed in religious clothing, and said, Sir, have here the keys of this castle. Then Sir Galahad opened the gates, and saw so much people in the streets that he might not number them, and all said, Sir, ye be welcome, for long have we abiden here our deliverance. Then came to him a gentlewoman, and said, These knights be fled, but they will come again this night, and here to begin again their evil custom. What will ye that I shall do? said Galahad. Sir, said the gentlewoman, that ye send after all the knights hither that hold their lands of this castle, and make them to swear for to use the customs that were used heretofore of old time. I will well, said Galahad, and there she brought him an horn of ivory, bounden with gold richly, and said, Sir, blow this horn, which will be heard 2 mile about this castle. When Sir Galahad had blown the horn, he set him down upon a bed. Then came a priest to Galahad, and said, Sir, it is past a 7 year agone that these 7 brethren came into this castle, and harboured with the lord of this castle, that hight the Duke Leanor, and he was lord of all this country. And when they espied the duke's daughter, that was a full fair woman, then by their false coven they made debate betwixt themselves. And the duke of his goodness would have departed them, and there they slew him and his eldest son. And then they took the maiden and the treasure of the castle. And then by great force they held all the knights of this castle against their will under their obeisance, and in great service and truage, robbing and pilling the poor common people of all that they had. So it happened on a day the duke's daughter said, Ye have done unto me great wrong to slay mine own father and my brother, and thus to hold our lands. Not for then, she said, ye shall not hold this castle for many years, for by one night ye shall be overcome. Thus she prophesied 7 years agone. Well, said the 7 knights, sithen ye say so, there shall never lady nor knight pass this castle, but they shall abide maugre their heads, or die therefore till that night be come by whom we shall lose this castle. And therefore is it called the Maidens' Castle, for they have devoured many maidens. Now, said Galahad, is she here for whom this castle was lost? Nay, sir, said the priest, she was dead within these 3 nights after that she was thus enforced. And sithen have they kept her younger sister, which endureth great pains with mo other ladies. By this were the knights of the country come, and then he made them do homage and fealty to the king's daughter, and set them in great ease of heart. And in the morn there came one to Galahad, and told him how that Gawaine, Gareth, and Uwaine had slain the 7 brethren. I suppose well, said Sir Galahad, and took his armour and his horse, and commended them unto God.
End of Book 12, Chapters 13 through 15. Recording by Benu Athanasia.